we'll share them in the chat, and I'll also perhaps share my screen, but it's not really a big deal. It'd be nice if you just had a blank piece of paper.
Exactly. Take some great notes. We're going to be manifesting today. We are always so honored to have you, Hansie, with us. And you are an MD and health coach. And today's class is Manifest Your Desires.
Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. Thanks everybody for joining. I think some people will still be trickling in, but feel free to share your screen, share your faces. As Elizabeth said, this is live streamed, but I think only her and I will be on the video, so don't be shy. If not, then I'll also ask for participation in the chat, so that's also a way to participate. So we're going to be manifesting our desires today, so really kind of getting in touch with how we want to feel, and what we can do to generate those feelings a little bit more in our lives. So the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to get right into it. So if you could maybe just get comfortable where you are and kind of bring yourself into this space, there's no judgment. Hopefully you're kind of in a safe space, and maybe just closing your eyes for a little bit and just thinking about the first thing that pops up, what you want in your life. So as you kind of think about what you want, you might already know what you want. You might have an idea of what you want. And then maybe just notice what happens after that when you think about what you want. What are the other messages that you hear after you declare what you want? Just kind of pay attention to the feelings that come up. Maybe excitement, maybe kind of this nervous anxiety. Maybe there's doubt. Maybe there's guilt. Maybe there's resistance. So just notice, or maybe there's just full on confidence. So just notice what feelings come up for you when you think about what you want. And if you don't know what you want, that's okay too, because we'll also be doing some of that later. But just the first instinct of thinking about, if you're just joining, just thinking about what you want in your life and noticing what feelings come up around it. When you're thinking about what you want, just noticing those feelings. All right, and then slowly bring yourself back to this space, back to where you are, and you can open your eyes if you had them closed. And maybe just share, if you want to, share in the chat a word or two of, if you want to share what you want, you can share what you want. You don't have to, but really more about how you feel about what you want. What were those feelings that came up when you were thinking about what you want? You can just kind of type in here, you can type in the chat. And again, they can range from excitement and confidence and kind of like a gung-ho attitude to constriction and doubt, fear, anxiety. So just go ahead and type in the chat. Thanks, Veronica. So stress and anxiety. Many wants and desires. Feelings range from confidence to doubt, depending on what the specific want. Okay. Excitement and warmth. Good. Curiosity. Nice. And there's no right or wrong here. There's no right or wrong. This is just how you feel. Stress. Yeah. Sometimes we think about what we want and we get stressed out about it. Yeah. Peace. Yeah. Nice one, Linda. And sometimes we think about, we have that excitement and what manifests more self-confidence. Good. Sometimes we kind of have an initial excitement, and then we think about how we're going to get there, and then we start stressing out about it, or vice versa. Sometimes we have an initial stress about it, and then we think, okay, how can I get there? Just little steps, and then you start feeling a little bit calmer. So all that, you can have a mix of these as well. Yeah. Ability to not get so overwhelmed. Yeah. Yeah. Good. So yeah, so this is just kind of an exercise in noticing how you feel. And also, no matter how you feel about what you want, allowing yourself to want what you want. So that's really the first step, just because sometimes we need to give ourselves permission to want what we want, right? Something and maybe we don't deserve it, or we're not good enough, or it's never going to happen. You know, we get that doubt and that stress and that feeling of overwhelmedness. And really the first step is giving yourself permission to want what you want. Okay. Good. So then the next step is to kind of get it down to how we want to feel, right, about what we want. And sometimes feelings are easier to think about than what the actual thing we're going to do, like the physical thing, the action step that we're going to do. Sometimes it's easier to know, hey, how do we want to feel in life? So for some of you, if you don't know what you want, sometimes we don't know what we want, and we're just kind of lost, and we're kind of just trying to figure out what we want, but we do know how we want to feel, right? So this next exercise that we're going to do is trying to decode and figure out our core desire feelings. And so if you got the handout, there's one that Elizabeth just put it in the chat, this desire mapping one, the second one she put in. You don't need it if you don't have it. You don't really need it. Again, you just need a blank piece of paper, because we're going to go through it together. There are 5 aspects of our lives that we're going to kind of do this desire mapping on. And I want you to just, when I call out a category, just think about the first few words that come up into your mind or your body of how you want to feel in these 5 areas of your life. Okay, it's really about how you want to feel about them. And they might not make sense. So this is also an exercise in kind of stretching our vocabulary. Sometimes we don't. And so you can maybe think of a phrase, and I'll give you some examples too, of this in case you need help. But we're gonna kind of do an uncensored, so this is uncensored kind of stream of consciousness about how you want to feel in each of these areas, okay? And if you have the handout there, you can use it. It's just a paper that you can kind of write in. Otherwise, type into the chat, or both. Type into the chat. Okay, so the first one we're going to do, I'm not going to go in order of what's in the paper, is career and money. So thinking about career and money, this is just kind of an uncensored stream of consciousness, how you want to feel in that area of life. And this could be like rich, right? Or abundant, playful. It could be enlightened. You could feel luxurious, glamorous. So they're like, and some words might not necessarily make sense, like snazzy. So this is an uncensored stream of consciousness of how you want to feel in regards to career and money. And so go ahead, yeah, you can write it on your piece of paper and also share here. So we have secure and comfortable, confident and secure. Other examples could be like smart, right? Fruitful, it's a nice word. And again, there's no right or wrong. And again, the words don't necessarily need to make sense. to anybody else either. Open to gifts from the universe. Prudent and generous. I like that word, prudent. Yeah. Blessed. And again, this is how you want to feel, not necessarily how you feel now, though we'll kind of reflect on that, but how you want to feel regarding your career and money. Feel free to share in the chat. Don't be shy. This workshop works better when you share. And I don't know, Elizabeth, I don't know if we have people watching on Facebook live, because you did say we're streaming live. So if there's anybody commenting on there as well, you could definitely just put that in the chat here. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Anybody having difficulty trying to think about how they want to feel? Because we have 4 more categories. So I want you guys to be able to really notice and think about how you want to feel in these categories. So is anybody having difficulty? And it's okay, don't be shy. There's no judgment. Coming procrastination, yeah. But difficulty expressing or trying to figure out what we're doing here, like trying to figure out how they want to feel. Difficulty finding words, maybe. And sometimes, and I just want to give you guys an option here, because sometimes words are difficult, and it's hard to express sometimes how we want to feel regarding these things. And so if a picture, if an image comes to mind, then you can have that picture. You might not be able to like type it out, but maybe you can describe that picture. Like one picture might be like I'm just throwing my money away, like I have so much of it, right? Like kind of an expression like that. There's no really word for that. What would that be? That would be like maybe generous or ecstatic, or enthusiastic, right? But yeah, if you have a picture or an image, then that's okay too. And you can maybe describe that. Okay. So just maybe 4 or 5 words there, or 2 at least there in that box for career and money. The next category we're going to do is, and this is similar, but maybe different, is material stuff. So how do you want to feel about your material stuff? And again, this is an uncensored, just when you think about material stuff, you can close your eyes if that's helpful. What are the first few things or images or emotions that you feel when you think about your material stuff, of how you want to feel? This is how you want to feel, Carolyn. Yeah. So if you feel like there's too much stuff, how do you want to feel about your stuff? Maybe lighter, right? Grateful. I like that word, exhilarated. I didn't mention that before, but free. That's a good one. So free from your material stuff. Yeah. Organized, in control. Okay. Satisfied. It's a good one. Grateful, at peace. Yep. Great words. And again, there's no right or wrong. So this is your stream of consciousness. It's actually kind of fun to see the range, if there is a wide range. Yep, so that they're useful, right? That they're, what would that be? Yeah, so that they serve you. So purposeful, maybe, having purpose. Maybe that would be the word. Creative, I like that. That's a great word, David, thanks. Creative with your material stuff, okay. Another word might be like judicious. So like really careful about what you're going to be spending money on, right? And maybe the stuff that you do choose to spend money on is like really awesome, like your car or your home, right? Like the big stuff. I don't know, just the word judicious. Minimalist. Generous. Yep, so you can feel generous. Good. These are great words. Lighter. Yep. Letting go. So yeah, light in your material needs. Yeah. Free. Great. Excellent, guys. Content. Satisfied, content. Like just enough, right? Some people, and again, there's no judgment here. So some people, you might want to feel abundant, right? And that's okay. So that's okay too. There's no judgment. There's no right or wrong. It's just how you want to feel about when you think about your material stuff. You might want to feel like shiny and snazzy, right? And like kind of showy. Sentimental. It's a good one. Sharing. I see this group of people that were our target audience here is very similar. It's good. But there's no again, there's no right or wrong. I'm just giving options about kind of the variety of what people might feel. Good. Cool. All right. So moving on to the third category and again, it's just the stream of consciousness. Okay, so whatever first pops into your head of how you want to feel when we think about this. And the next one is relationships. How do you want to feel in your relationships, about your relationships? Supported and loved. Able to be a great friend. So friendship fulfilled. It's a great word. Connected. Another good word. At peace and resolved. Harmony, love, kindness. Trust, loyalty, love, support, hope. Lighter. That's a good one too. Yeah. Adding value. Blessed, included. So able to boost each other up. That would be like what's the word for that? Cooperative, maybe, but not really. It's not really cooperative. It'd be like embraced, Virginia says. Yeah, because it's boosting each other up isn't quite, it's a little bit more than being supported. It's like you want to be elevated, like you want to be a better person, right? Encouraging, that could be a word. Empowering, great words. Peaceful, yeah. These are great words. Affectionate, surprised, playful, honored. They're great words. Other ones that you may or may not think about when you think about relationships is like independence, right? And maybe understanding. Could be control. Some people feel like they want to be in control. And that's okay. There's no right or wrong. So just kind of getting in touch with how you want to feel. Uplift, encourage. Uplift. That's maybe a good word for you, Elizabeth. Uplift, encouraged. Yeah. Good. These are great. Okay. Oh, empathetic and understanding. Yeah. Yeah. So feel free to, write down your words. And sometimes hearing other people's words can just help you be able to express them. If you having a hard time thinking about the word to express, sometimes hearing these ideas helps. All right. Giving and receiving. So what is that word?
Reciprocity.
Yeah, reciprocity. Reciprocus. Yeah, reciprocity. Yeah, okay. Reciprocal. There you go. Thanks, Carolyn. I told you this is an exercise in vocabulary as well. Supported. All right. Good. Thanks. Great. Really great words. So choose your few words and put them on your paper. Joyful. Excellent. Okay. Then we're going to move on to the fourth category, which is health and wellness. So how you want to feel with your health and wellness, and this could be physical health or mental health, emotional health. So it's kind of broad, but again, this is just the uncensored stream of consciousness. So the first thing you think of when you think about health and wellness, how you want to feel about it. Fit, energetic, stable, strong. Good. Stable is a good one for relationships too. Strong. Good. Confident, functional, alert, aware. Great words. Without pain, vibrant, spunky. There you go. Hopeful, patient, happy, comfortable. These are great. Complete, like that one. Good one. Happy, sturdy, strong, pain-free, happy. Embodied, nice word. Very good vocabulary. Embodied. Confident. Whole. Yeah. Maybe limber, agile, capable. This one. Great. Great words. Fit. Trying to think of a phrase instead of saying pain-free, like not pain, trying to say something in the positive way. Anybody have any ideas for what would be a positive way of saying pain-free? Painless. Maybe it would just be free. Comfy. That's a good one. Comfortable. Yeah, comfortable. Yep. I like that. Comfy. Hurtless. Yeah, but trying to instead of using less, like that part less or no, trying to think of it in the positive way, right? I guess comfortable. Yeah, what Haas was saying. Or free, just free. Anyway, flowy, another good word. Robust, great words. Harmony. Now you guys are getting it. Harmony, I like that. Harmony. Vigor, nice one. All right. Cool. These are great. These are really, really great words. Smooth, nice. That's a good one. Smooth, yeah. Okay. Okay. And again, like, you know, some words might resonate with you and some don't. So you want to choose ones that resonate with you, okay? They're all kind of different and they have different nuances too. So you want to choose the words that how you want to feel it resonate with you. All right, good. So then the last category here is soul. And again, there's overlap here, of course. Soul kind of embraces all the other 4 categories that we talked about. So, but how do you want to feel in your soul? Bright. Cheerful. Peace. Grounded. This one. Connected. Potential. I like that one. Complete. Yep. So connected. Connected is a popular one. Potential. Yep. Complete. Maybe enlightened. Mindful. One. Joyful. Joyful. Feeling good. Maybe trusting. So you say peace yet? Peace, yeah. Carolyn said peace. Okay. Serene. Yeah, good one, Serene. Jubilant. Like that. Safe and protected. Blissful. Balanced. Great. Possibility. So possible. Possibility, yeah. Maybe open. Honoring inner needs, yeah. So mindful and compassionate, perhaps. Renewed. Nice one. Good. Good. Grounded. Yeah. Or elevated. So it just depends on how you want to feel. Yeah. So grounded versus elevated. Enhanced. Yeah. Enchanted. Sorry. Enchanted. Yeah, that's great. That's a great word. Good. All right. So you can see here, if you have your paper or if you're using the handout, that there's a theme, and some of these words, that you have in certain areas can be in other areas, right? Centered. Yep. And so picking out of all these words, kind of looking at the theme of them, and maybe picking 4 or 5 words as your core desire feelings that might cover the majority of these areas. And you can write that down on the bottom of the page there, your core desire feelings. So finding the pattern in these feelings that we went through in these 5 categories, and then narrowing it down to about 4 or 5 or even less core desire feelings that might kind of overlap. And there are a lot of words here that overlap a lot of the categories, right? Balanced is one. Free might be another one. Complete came up a few times in different categories. Connected came up a few times, right? Harmony. So just looking at your paper and the themes that come up in yours that resonate with you. Loved, yeah. Internal happiness, purposeful, So now we're narrowing it down, right? We're narrowing it down to core desire feelings. This is how you want to feel in life the majority of the time. So internal happiness might be like at peace. Internal peace, yeah. Calm, grateful. Yeah, grateful is a good one. That could be in pretty much all the categories. Right? Focus. Free could also be in all the categories. So, but again, you want to choose words that resonate with you. So even though, I mean, there are lots of words that can be in lots of categories, but they might not be for you. So choose words that resonate with you. Choose these feelings, really feel them. All right. So hopefully you guys have your core desire feelings. And the next thing we're going to do is once we know how we want to feel, reflecting back on that. So if ever you feel lost in life or kind of trying to figure out what decision making, I'm going back to how you want to feel, going back to this, your core desire feelings, and thinking about, if I do this, is it going to help me generate these core desire feelings more or less, right? Or versus this one, which option will support me in allowing me to feel this way, right? Because that's what you want to feel. This is how you want to feel in life. So it helps us just make conscious decisions towards that. We often we often make stupid decisions, stupid choices, right? For different reasons at different times. And that's okay too. But if we're able to be conscious, especially for the really important ones, like for example, if you're moving somewhere, right? And you're going to another location, is that location going to help generate these core desire feelings, or are you going to be in a place that's going to make you miserable? Right. So really using this to help you decide, going with your gut, right? Is it going to feel good? Is it going to make you feel better? Is it going to elevate you and make you feel more at peace? Or is it going to squash you down and make you feel like you're suffocating? Right. So really tapping into these core desire feelings at any crossroads in your life. And that can help you really reassure you to make a good decision, right? A conscious decision, a positive decision for you. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is kind of help with that. So the next, I guess it's page 3 on this desire mapping worksheet if you have it, but you don't need to have it. The next question we're going to ask ourselves is, when have you felt these core desire feelings before? So these ones, and these are the core ones. So we're kind of going down to the ones we narrowed down to. And you can feel free to share if you want to, but it can be personal, so you don't have to share, but just write down, when have you felt this way before? And for some, it might have been a long time ago. And for others, it might have been yesterday. So there's no right or wrong. We're just really trying to tap into, when have we felt this way before, the way we want to feel, right? So take some time to write that down. When have you felt this way before? Before the pandemic. Yeah, maybe pre-COVID. Yeah. Feel free to share if you want to in the chat. And when you're thinking about when you have felt these feelings before, think about what you were doing. Oops. Right? What were you doing to feel this way before? BC, before COVID. Yeah. That was with when working towards a goal where I was supported. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So an example might be, when I was 5, right? When I was a kid, right? We feel free, we're joyful, really agile, strong, connected maybe to family, but also thinking about like what allowed you to do that, right? What were the circumstances around that? You could also maybe say, oh yeah, in college, like best time of my life, college. But what was it? What was it about college or undergrad or school that made you feel that way? And it could be that, yeah, in early mid-20s and early 30s, what was it, Veronica, around that time? What were you doing? Who were you around? Was it family? Was it friends? What made you feel those core desire feelings? What were, so not just thinking about a period or how old you were, but thinking about what you were doing. The people around me were all pulling for, yeah, so you felt supported. You had a really great network with Carolyn. Okay. So this next one's going to be a little bit harder if you haven't been feeling your core desire feelings recently, but what are you doing now? What are you doing now at the present time that generate your core desire feelings? And it might not be lasting, but what do you do now that allow you to feel how you want to feel, your core desire feelings? expressing myself creatively through music. Nice. So music, so in creativity. And the other thing to recognize here is that circumstances change, communicate. Yeah. So circumstances change and we don't necessarily have control of, well, maybe we do, but who's around us and how they influence us, right? We can't really make people support us if they don't want to, right? But we can choose who to be around, right? So we can choose to be around people who are going to be more supportive. We can choose to put ourselves in those circumstances, in those environments. So when I wake up with a plan and unambiguously pursue it, no doubts. Yeah. So having a plan when you wake up can help. Spending time outside. Yeah, being outside. I like what Virginia said about communicating too. Talking to people can make you feel connected and grounded, right? And sometimes we forget that, especially during the pandemic, right? A lot of us just hold ourselves up and we didn't talk to anybody, right? You're just home alone. And so we forget that you can call, right? You can email, you can communicate in some way, and listening. Good. Yeah. So not just talking, but also listening can make you feel connected. Learning something that motivates you. Yeah. So learning something new, maybe learning something new or something that brings you joy. Accept inspiration as it lands. So being able to do that also means being able to see inspiration. So being open to seeing the beauty around us, right? And using that as inspiration. And these don't have to be big things, but just recognize how you're able to generate those core desire feelings now. And this kind of goes into the next question, which is, what can you do to generate these core desire feelings more often? So if you said that, hey, I didn't feel this way, it's been like I was in my 20s and 30s since I felt this way, or even as a child since I felt this way, you are getting little bits of it. Hopefully you recognize that you are able to generate it in a little bits, but what can we do to make yourself feel those feelings more often, right? So it doesn't seem like they're overshadowed by the pandemic or by other things, right? So how can we generate these feelings more? So discuss situations, but don't argue about situations. That's easier said than done. That's great. Be around family. So I like that. Sorry. Give myself grace and understanding as much as I give others. That's great. Yeah. Journaling. Yep. So showing yourself compassion, not being so hard on myself. Yeah. Giving yourself compassion. Get ready for new ideas and activities. Yeah. So doing new things, right? Do things you enjoy. Yeah. Adulting, man. Then have free time. I know I am not a good adulter. I like to be a kid. But adulting is a necessity sometimes. But adulting, yeah, to then have free time. So I like that, Susan. Like that. Taking breaks when needed and not running myself down. Yeah, so taking breaks and really like sometimes scheduling in those breaks helps. So we could tell ourselves we're going to take a break, but sometimes really putting that in, like valuing that break, right? Really valuing it, because valuing that break means you're giving yourself value, which is one of the things that you had mentioned, Elizabeth, right? Like showing yourself compassion, being easy on yourself. And sometimes we feel like we don't deserve that break, right? And that goes back to the very first thing we did, which is allowing yourself to want what you want, right? It's okay to take a break sometimes. Yeah, giving yourself time for these feelings. Thanks, David. That's great. And that's what this is, right? This is kind of time to really sit with our feelings, and we don't often give ourselves this time to think, to feel, and understand how we want to feel. So it's great. And then the next question is, what can you stop doing that's taking you away from these core desire feelings? So what kind of things are you doing now that are really like taking you away from feeling how you want to feel? And how can you mitigate that? Stop negative self-talk. Yeah. Also easier said than done. So that actually brings a great example, Carolyn, because of what we were talking about before with painless and that kind of thing. And so trying to flip from the negative and saying like not negative to saying positive instead, right? So instead of saying stop negative self-talk, I would say start positive self-talk, right? That would be the positive way of saying that. So it's almost like a mental exercise that you're doing with yourself every time you say something to yourself, right? Notice, how are you saying it? What is the wording there? And how can you flip it to a positive way, right? So start positive affirmation. Great. Exactly. So find distractions instead of taking care of what needs to be done. Wait, is that what's taking you away from your core desire field, or do you want to find distraction? But so that could go either way. Trust and let go. Take away distractions. Yeah. Trust and let go. I like that, Veronica. That's great. So instead of taking away, so right, that would be another exercise. How can we say it in a positive way? So you want to add in purposefully attend to your tasks or something. Ability to stay on task. Yeah. There you go. Ability to stay on task. Yeah. So again, another thing that we're doing here with this vocabulary and these words is how we're talking, right? Like what words we're using. So just being aware of what words you're using. Vocabulary is important. And what we say is important, because oftentimes what we say is what we're saying to ourselves all the time. And we want that to be positive, loving, connected, all these positive words, right? That we listed here. So take action. That's great. Yeah. I like to start positive affirmations. Good. Cool. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of a framework of how to approach what you want, and even how to think about what you want, right? And so the next thing we're going to do is making a list of what we want to do, what you want to have, what you want to experience, what you want in life. And this is the 5 whys. And the 5 whys helps us really get down to why we want those things. And to clarify that the reason why we want those things is for us to feel our core desire feelings, and not necessarily for somebody else, right? Sometimes we write down what we want, and you do these 5 whys and you find out, well, I'm just trying to make my parents happy, right? Or you're living out somebody else's dreams. Like, I don't want to disappoint family, or I don't want to disappoint blah, blah, blah. And then, when you get to that bottom, that last why, the core, seeing if that is in line with your core desire feelings. And if it is, great, right? That's a great thing to want. Otherwise, just helps you kind of reflect, okay, is this really what you want? or is it what somebody else wants you to do, right? So this is in that 5 why handout that Elizabeth put in the chat. It's going to be way up at the top now, the first one. But even if you don't have it, that's okay. Just on one side, you can just put down what you want to achieve, what you want to experience, what you want to have, perhaps. And then on the other side, just say why. Why do you want that? That would be the first one. Why? There is because it would be fun or something. I don't know. And then ask yourself again, why? Why would it be fun? Like you're asking why for that first why. And then the third why would be why that? One more why for that, Carolyn. Why is it important to feel satisfied with your life's journey? It's tougher. Why? Why is it important to be satisfied? I mean, right? There seems like there are a lot of people out there who doesn't really matter to them. So why is it important to you? And that's a tough one. So you don't feel like you're on the spot, but just yeah. Peace. Right? Peace is that one, the answer to that. Good. Live my best life. Yeah. So that's great, Carolyn. That's a great example. That so in the chat here, Carolyn, one of her goals is health. The first why is so she can do more. And why? Why does she want to do more? So she can accomplish more. And why does she want to accomplish more? So she can feel satisfied with her life's journey. And why? So that she will feel at peace. And peace, hopefully, is one of your core desire feelings, right? So that's great. That's a really great example. And there's no pressure for everybody else. Like you might get to the last why and it might be something that's not your core desire feelings, which again is also insightful to be like, okay, I obviously want this for the wrong reasons, right? Maybe I don't, maybe it's not really in line. Maybe I don't really want this. So either whatever you end up with, it's a learning experience. It's to help you be aware of your choices. And this will take some time. And obviously you can do this with any want, any desire, any goal that you have. There could be many of them. Good. Does anybody else want to share one of them? And if you do, you could unmute if it's too much to type in here. You can unmute yourself if you want to. All right. All good. Cool. And definitely take time to do this on your own too, if you need more time. Good. So hopefully this was helpful for you. What kind of insight did any share your insights? More paid work for balance for peace. Yeah. Thanks, Susan. Yeah. Okay. For balance and for peace. Yeah. So that's great. Sorry. So I'm gonna go back to Susan. So one of her goals is to, and asking, being compensated monetarily for what we do, sometimes we feel bad about that, right? And it's important to allow ourselves to want that and to know our own worth, right? And that can also, and that why? Because for balance, right? It allows us to feel balanced and at peace with ourselves and for our worth. Because sometimes, if we get paid like pennies for all this work we're putting in, we feel bitter, right? We start feeling resentful. And those aren't good feelings, right? And we feel like we're not appreciated. Those aren't good feelings at all. And so, yeah, so getting more, maybe this isn't what you meant. Maybe it was just working for pay, but yeah, so asking for your worth is important, and allowing yourself to want that. That's okay. And it doesn't mean you're selfish. It just means that you know your worth, right? So, great. Thanks for that. Did you want to, you can say something if you want. Yeah. You're unmuted, so.
Oh, thanks. Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Yeah, I thank you for saying that permission to want to be paid, be compensated fairly, but
Yeah.
helps with life balance, being able to do other things that feel peaceful and feel like it's okay, as a woman to be paid financially for work.
Yeah. And it's okay as long as you're being authentic. That's, it's gonna be different than if you're like cheating people for out of money, right? Like that's not what we're aiming for either. So as long as you're authentic in what you do and what you're asking for and your worth, then hopefully that will generate those feelings. Again, if you're cheating people out of money, right, the opposite, then maybe you'll feel guilty, right? Which is also isn't what you really want to feel. But maybe you won't feel guilty. Maybe you'll actually feel fine. I mean, I think there are people out there who probably feel fine about that. But I think eventually, if they really are in tune with what they want and how they feel, you probably do start to feel a little bit guilty, right? And not worth it. And so, yeah, as long as you're authentic, and you know your own value and your worth, then you will feel balanced and at peace. So thanks. Good. Thanks, David. Any other last thoughts or insights or questions? Cool. So just before we go, I like to kind of wrap up with just spit out or type in one thing you learned, one thing that inspired you from this class, or one thing you learned or surprised you. Just share. Or something you'll take away. Thanks, Linda.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the allowing, because sometimes in life, there's that saying that you can't control what happens, but you can control how you handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you don't realize that you actually do have more power over a situation, and being able to um, hold space for yourself and speak your truth when sometimes it might not be as reciprocated as in the past, but having that confidence saying, hey, this is how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's quite interesting how sometimes it's, you build up this anxiety of, a certain situation, and then it's actually not as big of a deal. And you're like, oh, I built that up for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully now, if we go back to that first question of what you want, hopefully that answer of how you feel around that is different, right? There's less stress and anxiety and doubt and guilt and more confidence. Yeah,
Definitely.
good. So let's see people here. Keeping focus on my purpose, to start a decision-making process by filtering for my core desired feelings. Yeah, rather than a particular anticipated outcome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so using how you want to feel to decide, to help you decide. The group dynamics were helpful to get insight. Thanks, Howard. Haven't seen you in a while. To keep digging deeper into the whys and related feelings. Yeah, and making sure they align with you, with what you want. Time to see what I want and how to get it, to take action, connect with your feelings. Thanks, Veronica. Great. Thank you, guys. If you are that.
Oh, there you
And then I also have a website, integrativehealthandwellness.net. So if you're interested, you in my future workshops, you can PM me here, your email, and I'll just put you on my list for my future workshops. Otherwise, you can go to my website and just there's like a little subscriber list you can put in there. I usually have maybe like once or twice a year, I'll do a workshop with Marlene's, maybe more, of various topics. So definitely, if you enjoyed this, please feel free to reach out. Or if you want to, just put in your email and I'll add you to the list of when my future workshops are. Well, thanks, Linda. I need to learn to pay attention to my feelings. Yes, feelings are important.
They really
Cool. Thank
and
you.
what a great workshop today, everyone. Very interactive. I love it.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for participating. We had a lot of good words. Hopefully, kind of expanded your vocabulary and emotional vocabulary.
Yeah, it's these group efforts that help all of us manifest, because we're all contributing our energetic vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're gonna say goodbye to our Facebook Live friends.
Thank you. Thank you.